Hello, America. My name is Bruce Bongard, virtual presidential candidate under the Protestant Party. Once again, this particular event was sponsored by www.cf2008ontape.ning.com. Well, here we are. It's November 4th, Election Day. I hope everybody had an opportunity out there to vote. As an American citizen, it is definitely a right and a privilege that we are all given. Many people have died in the interest of ensuring this particular freedom that we have. So please, regardless of who your candidate of choice is, I hope everybody had the opportunity to review all the candidates that were out there, not just the two primary frontrunners, but there are a multitude of many people out there. In recent weeks, Joe the Plumber has risen within the ranks of the McCain campaign to try and take a political focus on something that's very important to him. If Joe the Plumber can get out there, if Bruce the Engineer can get out there to try and campaign about not necessarily the office of President of the United States, which was really never my particular goal, instead my particular goal has always been about solutions. It's been about prolutions, progressive solutions, which are a combination of multiple different issues trying to come up with a common solution. I believe I've come up with 6 or more prolutions. I've shared those with you. I've shared a little bit about my own personal background as well. Being currently unemployed, it has created some financial hardship, quite a bit of financial hardship for me. However, this has been my focus and my turning point in this part of my career. I believe that it has been very important for me to go through this process with you. So I hope you have had the opportunity to look at some of the prolutions that I've come up with. So for example, prolution number 1, it was an aggressive outside-the-box approach at taking a look at productivity and efficiency by looking at our calendar and making a modification from a 7-day week to a 9-day week. Funds that would be generated from that approach would then go into funding, in part, a national, what I call a clean energy corridor for all, in which both the U.S. and Mexico shared in the development in the southwest area of this technology corridor. In particular, we would start off a solar approach. So the funds derived from prolution number 1, the calendar approach, will be funneled into creating that long corridor, as well as commercialization, private industry coming into play, changing the focus from a border security approach to now a physical asset type approach for that border, where we throw resources at it. We make it important, we build it up, we bring in education, we have an energy conservation approach that ties into an immigration solution, as well as a reduction in drug trafficking, as well as a reduction in, hopefully, global emissions and petrochemical fuel usage. So that was the approach there. Solution number 3, prolution number 3, Share the Fair Healthcare, took a different approach at looking at healthcare, into breaking it out into 2 categories of outpatient care versus inpatient care. Outpatient care would be covered by a membership fee, whereas inpatient care would be a privatized insurance type of approach. Solution 4 took a look at entitlement programs, and for people below a certain age, they would automatically be transferred into a Bonded for Life initiative, in which a portion of those special entitlement program funds would then be liquidated and turned into bonds that could then be used for individual U.S. citizens under certain requirements for housing, education, and for health care. For those 3 purposes, those special approaches would be, based on that you had a retirement type of plan that you were enrolled in. Really, those were the only requirements there, as well as being alive. All right, so now let's talk about some of the other solutions. Solution number 5 was a new taxation approach. 10% flat payroll tax and a 10% federal consumption tax, which could be modified to stimulate various different industries. No longer would stimulus checks be necessary. We throw in a corporate tax structure, lower, of 10, 15, 20%, depending on what the size of a particular company was. Ideas such as NAFTA and whatever other trade approaches are out there, they would need to be modified to accommodate this. Essentially, we would abolish our current U.S. taxation system. No longer would there be as much federal regulation. It would be an immediate upfront taxation approach. It would be a much simpler approach. Special interest lobbying and government spending. We took a look at how we would approach that. By the people, for the people type approach. Instead, we would look at polling as an influential means to affect congressional votes on Capitol Hill. Versus, and special interest lobbyists would now be lobbying you and I versus them lobbying only Congress. Quite a different mindset. Perceptual change, paradigm changes. Those have been my primary focuses with these outside-the-box solutions. Well, some of the other things I would have liked to have talked about would have been explore galore. I believe exploration is critical for us to continue in our particular society and for our growth as a nation and as a world. Top 10 health concerns, adult stem cell research, global warming concerns, clean and renewable energy sources, reduce petrochemical dependencies. Talked about that with the first and second solutions. Talked about improving infrastructure. All this stuff is talking about creating job growth. It is not a status quo approach. It is important for us to try and grow as much as possible, and how we do that is through exploration. That's the growth that we need. In the name of my party, I call it the Proudican Party, which stands for through progress and democracy, you and I can. ... You and I can do anything. We can discover these solutions together. It also stands for the Proud American Party. In time, it could stand for the Proud Mexican Party. It could be an international party. It could stand for Proud Canadian Party. It could Proud I Can. Proudican Party. Space exploration. Project Blue Book. Who knows if there's a conspiracy out there? If you never hear from me about this idea again, who knows? That might tell you something. Continued exploration of oceanic marine life. Government, university grant programs, streamlining those. Very important that we get the money to the sources of coming up with some of these very aggressive, progressive solutions. We need that sponsored through education as well as through private and commercial industries. And we need all that working through government tie-ins as well. That's a very good goal. Foster all this progressive entrepreneurial interest, as well as build our U.S. contracts and the U.S. military. It's vital as a sovereign country, a sovereign democratic country, that we maintain that level of our growth, of our wealth, and of our stature in the world. What else we need to do is take a look at what is our mindset for the world. We need to remain and be a socio-economic, peaceable nation. No longer should we be focused on being a superpower type approach, but we need to be transitioning ourselves to a supermodel approach. We want other countries to emulate our livelihoods, our peace, our freedom, our democracy. We need to show them why our democracy works and why it should work for them. And by that way, hopefully they will then join the fold of being a democratic nation as well. Supermodel versus superpower. Very important. perception-wise, paradigm-wise, paradigm shift-wise, we need to get that mindset in place. Once again, I'd like to thank all the candidates that chose to be part of this open debate. Daniel Kingery, Brad Lord Lutweiler, Lanakila Washington, Frank Moore, Dr. James Lunding. Once again, my name is Bruce Bongard, virtual presidential candidate under the Proudican Party, saying thank you all for your attention. God's peace be with all of you, and please take care. We'll hopefully see you in 2012.